Hello and welcome to my channel Arlie Motoring. I just hit the 1,000 subscriber milestone and wanted to say thank you. Thank you for showing your support and subscribing to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I make videos on showroom tours, car spotting, and going to car events, so definitely hit the subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. Now, since I hit 1,000 subscribers, I thought I would get a GoPro to see if it would help me in making more car content. And today I decided to go to RK Motors Charlotte, a classic car showroom. And this is my second time visiting the showroom. And my last video touring the place actually got over 800 views. So I thought I would go and try it out again and check out how many cars they've added to their collection. This time, RK Motors has actually relocated to their new showroom right next door. So this is RK Motors' brand new showroom, and this is actually split up into 3 different sections. They have classic cars here, and in the back they actually have all their classic SUVs and classic trucks, and in the front they have all their newer model cars. So definitely love the layout of the area, so you can kind of pick your poison and go to each different section and say, okay, I want to only look at classic cars. Well, they have one specific section here for you. And I love how there's way more room here to film. So I'm trying out my new GoPro. I have it on the little handle, so definitely trying it out with the screen off. So I only got to see how the footage looked after I came back home. Now here's a really nice 1966 Chevy Nova, and I really like the midnight purple color on here. It looks really good with the Chevy Nova. This one is definitely a drag ready setup, and it has the little wheels at the bottom and the back that you'll see soon. And I love the interior and how they've kept it pristine or restored it. And I think with the Chevy Novas, it's just a big car, and I've noticed that a lot of the ones that are coming here always are drag style cars that are putting out over 600 horsepower. So definitely really cool to see here. And here's another Chevy Nova. I really like this red color as well. And this one actually has a 6.2 liter LS3 V8, and it produces 440 rear wheel horsepower. So that's not just from the engine. The engine probably puts out around 600, but when it's at the rear wheels, it loses some horsepower. So that's the actual, like, on the dyno 440 horsepower, which is a lot for a car that's from the 60s, right? Here's a really nice 1960s Chevy Impala. I love the black paint on this. It's completely shiny. There is no imperfection that I could see when I was filming it. And I think it's just so great that they can restore a classic car like this and make it look almost like it's brand new, or if it has just really low miles and kept pristine. And it's so funny how the Chevy Impala was such a large vehicle back then, when now it's just like a tiny little sedan. And here's another red Chevy Impala, and beside that, here's a Chevy Bel Air. This is actually a 1955 Chevy Bel Air, and it's a convertible, and it actually has a Chevy Crate V8 that puts out 620 horsepower, and this one has an automatic transmission with the convertible. So it's kind of nice that it's a restore mod where they actually restore stuff, but they also modify it to have current kind of up-to-date technology inside as well. Now here's a really nice blue Chevy Camaro, and the thing I like about this one is that blue just looks really good on the Camaros. I think Chevy got the color down right. Even the newer model Camaros, the blue always looks the best on them, and it's sad to say that those cars are being discontinued now. Now here's one of my favorite classic cars here. It's a 1970s Chevy Nova, and this one looks really nice. This is actually a car that I would believe should belong in a Fast and Furious movie. And this one is, it has a big block Chevy V8 crate engine that puts out 620 horsepower, and that's a Holley Terminator EFI and shotgun style intake. I love that. It just feels like something that Vin Diesel would drive. And here's another Chevy Camaro. And what I think is funny is if you put these side by side like this, you can see that the one on the left, the Chevy Camaro, looks so small and so like such an economy car compared to the Chevy Nova. Look at the Chevy Nova's interior. It looks so much more well detailed, more better materials. It looks like it's a bigger car. It looks like it's more of a fully loaded one. And look at them side by side. Even the taillights actually look better in my opinion, and it looks like such a bigger car in comparison. This is my first time seeing a Pontiac GTO, and there's a Buick right beside it, and they literally look like twin cars. They look like 99% identical, and I didn't know a Pontiac GTO looked like this. I didn't even know they had it back then. I always thought it was some kind of like economy car, and then the GTO was the more powerful V8 version. And I love the speedometer that's on the actual hood. I think that's such a nice touch compared to cars of that time, and I guess that's their version of a HUD, where nowadays we have that little projector on the windshield. So I guess their idea was to put that on the hood. And there's actually a BMW Z8 that's rolling by, and one of the workers here actually told me that one of them actually sold for $500,000, which is really crazy. I didn't think the Z8 was worth that much money, but I guess times have changed and a lot of cars are getting more rare. Now here's a 1970s Buick GS GCX Resto mod. So this one's gonna have all the updated interiors, updated materials, even the headlights are updated, and it looks just like the Pontiac GTO. So I find that really really funny that it's basically like the BRZ and the FRS of back in the day, right? And this one actually comes with a 6-speed manual transmission and a big block 455 stage 1 V8. And a huge thanks to RK Motors for always being so kind and courteous. This is my second time stopping by, but they've always been so friendly, telling me about what kind of cars they've sold, what kind of cool cars that they have in stock. And also, if you like any of the cars here, or you're interested in any of the vehicles that are for sale here, definitely check out their website at RK Motors Charlotte, and I'll have a link in the bio. So please reach out to them if you're interested in any vehicle, and also let them know that you came from the RLE Motoring video. It would mean a lot. Here's a nice 1960s Dodge Dart. It looks really good in this orange color here. And it's so funny how it used to be a big muscle car back then, and then in the mid 2000s they decided to change it into an economy car, maybe to compete with like a Chevy Cobalt, and that one did not go so well. And I think they really should have brought it back as a muscle car to kind of be their third in line with the Charger and the Challenger. I didn't understand why they didn't go for it. They really should have made it a muscle car, and I think it would have sold well too. Here's a Dodge Challenger right beside it, and I like how the new ones, you can kind of still see the body lines of the old one. Now this silver Dodge, the silver looks really good on this one, and this one's actually a 1966 Dodge Charger Fastback, and they actually fully restored this one and updated the interior. And this one actually has an automatic transmission, which I thought was pretty funny that even back then they had that. And I love how the interior looks so clean. And the taillights on this one, the taillights of this, I just like how they kept it in the newer Chargers. They kept that taillight. I always thought they just made up that design, but I didn't know that was like a throwback to the retro. Here's a fully restored 1977 Volkswagen Type 2 bus, and this is actually a 2000cc 4-cylinder engine with a 4-speed manual transmission, and they've put in modern air conditioning in here, so that's nice to know. So this can be a camper car for someone who wants to go on a long vacation in a cool little retro van. And I still haven't seen any Volkswagen ID buses. That's the new electric version of this one, and I'm assuming that probably comes out next year. Would you go with this one, or would you go with the new Volkswagen ID bus? Here's a really nice British Racing Green 1965 Ford Mustang that's fully restored, and this one has a 347 stroker V8 with 360 horsepower, and it's a Ford Racing crate engine, and it comes with electronic fuel injection and also has a high performance automatic transmission. And beside this one, there's another Ford Mustang, and this one's actually a Ford Mustang 1969 Shelby GT350. And I started noticing from the taillights that these are completely different in small little details. It has different taillights, different kind of spoiler, it has wider fenders. It seems like it's a bit of a wider car and has bigger wheels. And this one is one of only 824 GT350s built in 1969, and there's probably not that many on the road anyways. And this is a high performance V8 with automatic FMX 3-speed transmission, and it has a 3.25 traction lock differential. I really like this color on this Shelby GT350, and look at the interior. Even the interior is nicer than the regular Mustang. I think it just has a lot more tiny details that makes it differentiate, knowing that you got the Shelby GT350. Now here's a Fox body Mustang, and normally I don't really like the Fox body design. I always prefer the previous gen Mustangs and the newer models, but this one's actually an interesting one. This is a one owner Vortex supercharged 1989 Ford Mustang Celine SC, and it has 670 rear wheel horsepower, and it is a documented Celine that's number 39, and has a 347 stroker V8. Here's a nice Shelby Cobra, most likely a replica. I really thought it was interesting that it had the exhaust on the side of the doors. Now walking up to it, if the car was on, I definitely don't want to burn my legs, but still it's pretty cool that it has those side door exhausts. And I really like this black with electric green color on it, and it is restored, so it has those LED headlights, and it seems like it has other up-to-date modifications too. Now I really like my Chevy Corvettes. I like the C6, the C7, and the C8, but this one wasn't one of my favorite model years, but this one actually caught my eye. I was like, it's a perfect white on white Chevy Corvette, and it looks so clean, and look at that interior leather, it looks so pristine. Well, it turns out this one is actually only a 345 mile car. That's why all the buttons and everything looks so perfect. And here's two nice side-by-sides. There's a Toyota FJ and a Ford Bronco. I really like the Ford Bronco because they still make it, and I like how the newer ones kept the old retro design looks. I actually got to go in a ride-along in a Bronco back in Chicago when I went to the Chicago Auto Show, and so I got to go in like a little mud drop, like a muddy water drop, and we got to go on a huge slanted slope and then go straight down. It was a really fun little trip. And here's a Toyota FJ40 Land Cruiser. This is a 1976 model, and it has a 4.2 liter 6-cylinder and has a 4-speed. Personally, I would take the Ford Bronco over the Toyota. I know I am a big Toyota guy, but I think the Ford Bronco is just something that I've gotten more used to of how it looks. But let me know, which one would you pick? Would you pick the FJ40 Land Cruiser, or would you go with the Ford Bronco? I think that the later model, like 1990s Land Cruiser, I would definitely pick that over the Ford Bronco. But when it comes to the FJ40, I think there's something about the Ford Bronco that I just really like. And I think it's probably because I've seen it so much. Now, normally I'm not a Land Rover fan, but this one I actually really like. I noticed the redone headlights. They have the LEDs in them, so I could tell that this one's been like restored up to current technology. So this is a 1998 Land Rover Defender, and is a 4x4. I really like the black on black on this Land Rover, and I also like the roof. The roof has two small pieces of glass, so whenever you're sitting in the back and maybe you're going on a little road trip. Okay, so here we are at the third section of the showroom where the modern cars are. So we already went through the classic cars and the classic SUV section, and here's a nice retractable hardtop 2005 Mercedes-Benz SL55 AMG. I always liked the SL65 because I used to play Need for Speed Most Wanted, and I remember I used to drive around a red one in that video game, so it always has a soft spot in my heart for that car. Here's a nice Dodge Viper ACR. I did see this one last time I came to RK Motors, and it's funny because the event I went to in Texas, there was also an identical Dodge Viper ACR in this exact blue color, which I thought was already rare to see, but it's so funny I run into another event where I see it again. But that one, the main difference it had was it had the Nürburgring insignia on the spoiler, so I'm not sure if that was like a special edition. But always love the V10 Dodge Viper ACR. Here's a nice Mustang Shelby GT350. It's a 2016, and this one's a one owner with only 2,800 miles. And here's a Ford Mustang Roush. I haven't seen one of these since I was a teenager. I haven't seen one almost over 10 years. And it's a 427 Roush, and it has all the Roush badging everywhere. I see the signature on the dashboard, so I don't know if this is like a special edition, but this is the GT that's more louder, more power. Here's a really nice one, the Lexus ISF. I love that it has the V8 and it's still reliable. I've seen Lexus ISFs go up to 200,000 miles with no issues, and that's something that's really nice to have in a sports sedan. And I love the color on this one.